Welcome to today's lesson on DNA and the genome, where we will explore the fascinating world of the molecule that holds the blueprint of all living organisms. In our roadmap for today, we will start by describing the overall structure of DNA, explaining what genes and the genome are, and understanding the importance of the Human Genome Project. So far, you have learned about sexual and asexual reproduction. This foundational knowledge sets the stage for us to introduce how genetic information is passed on and how it manifests in various traits and characteristics. Understanding the concepts of DNA and the genome helps us appreciate how traits are inherited, how genetic disorders occur, and how groundbreaking projects like the Human Genome Project have revolutionized medicine and biotechnology. Let's dive into the fascinating world of DNA, the molecule that holds the blueprint for life. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It is the chemical responsible for storing and transmitting genetic information in all living organisms. DNA is found within the nucleus of cells, organized into structures called chromosomes. DNA is a polymer made up of two long strands, coiled into a shape known as a double helix. Think of it like a twisted ladder. Each strand of DNA is made up of repeating units called nucleotides. Each nucleotide has three components: a sugar molecule, a phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base, which is either adenine, thymine, cytosine, or guanine. The nitrogenous bases pair up across the two DNA strands, holding the double helix together. Adenine pairs with thymine and cytosine pairs with guanine. These pairs are held together by hydrogen bonds, forming the rungs of the ladder. The sequence of these bases forms the genetic code. It is this sequence that determines the instructions for building proteins. Each set of three bases, a triplet, codes for one amino acid, which are the building blocks of proteins. Genes are sections of DNA located on chromosomes. Each gene contains the code to make a specific protein. Proteins are crucial for the functioning of our cells. They can be enzymes that catalyze chemical reactions, hormones that send signals around the body, or structural proteins like collagen that provide support in our tissues. The process of going from DNA to protein involves two main steps. Transcription is when the DNA code is copied to messenger RNA, mRNA. And translation is where the mRNA is used to assemble amino acids into a protein at the ribosome. The genome is the entire set of genetic material in an organism. It includes all of the organism's genes. The Human Genome Project was a landmark scientific effort, completed in 2003, that mapped the entire human genome. Understanding the human genome has been revolutionary for medicine. Identifying genes linked to inherited diseases helps in developing targeted treatments and genetic counseling. By studying the human genome, scientists can trace how populations moved and settled around the globe. This has provided insights into our evolutionary history and how modern humans descended from common ancestors in Africa, which dispersed globally. With the genome mapped, researchers can pinpoint the genetic causes of diseases and develop better treatments. For example, gene therapy aims to treat or prevent diseases by correcting defective genes. Genomic differences among populations help scientists understand human diversity and how environmental factors have shaped our genetics. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on the history of the double helix structure. The discovery of DNA's double helix structure in 1953 by James Watson and Francis Crick is one of the most famous scientific achievements. However, they were building on critical work by Rosalind Franklin, a British scientist whose X-ray diffraction images of DNA, particularly photo 51, were key to revealing its structure.
My name is Rosalind Franklin. My work on DNA was overlooked for years. In the early 1950s, I captured X-ray diffraction images, including the crucial photo 51, which revealed key details about DNA's structure. This image was shared with Watson and Crick, who used it to develop their double helix model of DNA in 1953. Though my contribution wasn't fully recognized at the time, it was essential to their discovery and has since been acknowledged as pivotal to understanding DNA.
In today's lesson, we explored DNA, genes, the genome, and the significance of the Human Genome Project. We began with DNA's double helix structure, highlighting its nucleotide components: phosphate group, sugar molecule, and nitrogenous bases, adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, which encode genetic information. Next, we discuss genes, segments of DNA that instruct protein synthesis, crucial for traits and functions. This helps explain genetic variation and inheritance. We then covered the genome, the entire genetic material in an organism, including all genes and non-coding DNA. The human genome contains about 20,000 to 25,000 genes across 23 chromosome pairs. Finally, we examined the Human Genome Project, which mapped the human genome, advancing medicine, understanding genetic disorders, and helping us understand human history. Understanding these concepts illuminates the molecular mechanisms behind inheritance, variation, and evolution, fundamental to modern biology.